used it for everything
Oh,
else.
asbestos is great. It's cheap, it's flame resistant.
It has best right in the name.
Asbestos.
So, to give you a quick rundown of who I am, I'm Casey. I'm from the west coast of the United States. I'm a 31-year-old dad of 2 girls, and my wife is just about to take off for a doctor's appointment. So I'm playing mom while she's gone. And I've been interviewing just about every YouTuber that I watch, so this is exciting.
That's exciting for me too, because I've only ever done one AMA, and that was around 2 to 3 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And funnily enough, you know Napalm Rat, if I'm pronouncing that correctly?
I know of him.
Yeah, he provided me with like 70% of the questions on that AMA. And that was before he had like, I don't know how many subs he had. I don't think he was actually doing the YouTube thing full time yet. He was making the occasional video. Not the stage when he started making like videos every day or every other day.
So, Iron. Should I call you Iron?
Yeah, you can either call me Haig or you can call me Iron, but I do not mind.
Okay, it's easier to say Iron. I'll let you know how this is gonna go. It'll be a really casual interview. We'll pretty much just talk about what you want to talk about, and the goal is to give people an idea of who you are as a person, apart from your YouTube presence that anybody can go to your channel to check out.
Sounds like a plan.
Let's talk about you. So, you are, I'm guessing, from Armenia, which makes things easier for me.
It's like, wow, I wonder where this Iron Armenian guy's from.
Yeah, you see, you did me a real favor because I kept saying that Dita was from Slovakia, and he's like, Serbia. I mean, he was very polite about it, but I felt like an idiot. So,
the best thing about Dita is that you always think he's a cute waifu or something when you see his profile pictures and his online presence. Hello, it is me, Dita.
Yeah, he kind of, I get the impression he's kind of a chonky Slav guy, so...
Oh, but he's such a cuddly bear.
Oh, I'll bet he. Well, he loves his kittens and his rabbits, and he definitely comes off as a cuddly guy. Tell me a little bit about Armenia. There's not really much that I know about your country other than something you've talked about before on your channel.
I was going to say there's 2 things we're known for. Well, maybe 3, I suppose. I'm going to start with the best one and end with the worst one. The first one is System of the Downed. The second thing we're known for is the Kardashians. No, actually, let's change that to the genocide first. When the word genocide was actually invented to describe what happened to the Armenians. Can you guess what the third thing is going to be? I remember I said this is an order of best to worst.
The worst would now be the recent Kardashians then, huh?
Yes!
Okay, no buts about that.
Oh, don't get me started on butts.
So tell me some fun things, or give us some color about where you live specifically.
Okay, well at the moment I reside in the UK, as I was born in the UK, and I've lived in the UK, which explains my accent. Because a lot of people say like, oh, you don't actually sound Armenian. I'm like, well, technically I'm from Armenia, and I am a British citizen. Got a UK passport, it says born in UK. Or something along those lines. Yes, my teeth are crooked, I drink tea 4 times a day. I enjoy my scone at 4 o'clock. Anyway, Armenia's basically known for just pomegranates, really. That's the only real export of Armenia that I can think of. You can even buy pomegranate wine, pomegranate vodka in Armenia.
Tell me a bit about the young Haigs, or when you were a little kid. What are some of your first memories?
Oh boy, this is deep. Oh boy, first memories. I'm just staring into the void here, trying to think.
Those sound like early memories.
Yeah, I mean, one of my earliest memories that I can think of, I'm sure I can think earlier, but this is just on the spot, is a birthday party I had at RAF Hendon, which is a rather famous museum, the RAF Hendon, I think it's Imperial War Museum Hendon.
Do go on.
Mill Hill. And I had a Spitfire birthday cake. And somewhere in a photo album of our house, there's a photo album with this picture of me beaming next to a Spitfire cake. And I think one of the things I said to my dad at the time was, why did they paint targets on the wings?
Love it. It sounds like you were already that person we see on YouTube, so tell me some more.
Here's the thing, though. Time skip in the Iron Armenian lore is that I knew basically nothing about World War II planes until I played War Thunder. Because I always liked planes. It's just I never really understood anything. You could have shown me a Spitfire and a 109. I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference.
Shocking. That's interesting, and that's just yet another thing that War Thunder seems to have in common with a lot of people, is it gets people interested in specific vehicles and the history that goes along with them. So that's something we can all be grateful for, I suppose. So tell me a little bit about your family, mom, dad, siblings.
Just the me. So that's why I get to be such a weirdo. Yes, I do have a mum and dad, by the way. And I'm coming. Because when I say just me, it's like, oh shit, he's an orphan boy. No. I have mum and dad, but it's just me at the moment. No other siblings. I'm growing old now, coming up to 24. My bones are creaking. And because I'm the only child, I get to be that weirdo kid at school. Pets. Okay. If you want to talk about pets, if this is getting my social security number, when you got to do that thing where like enter in, mother's maiden name. Do you have any pets? Pets. I had a goldfish once when I was 12, and that was it. Basically, once it died, we said, "Well, no more goldfish." I guess that was a waste of time. I called him Bubbles, though, which is the dumbest name I could ever have made.
So creative.
I know, right? Goldfish name Bubbles.
So no more goldfish. Any other pets?
Nope, just a goldfish.
You sound like such a poor, lonely boy.
Yep, just living here in the house all by myself. Just that weirdo kid with no brothers or sisters.
Mum says I'm not allowed to go outside. It's dangerous out there. So,
I skinned the cats to see what the insides look like. It's the only way I feel anything. So you stewed alone in the manor, and developed your unique personality. Tell me something about your school life. What was early school like for you? When did you realize you didn't know it all? And then what kind of things started to interest you as you went through education? Let's see. I'm a rather boring fella for someone that runs a YouTube channel where you think creativity springs to mind. Like, oh, you did design. You probably did, art, or you studied design and technology, maybe media at university. Very basic, through the UK education system, because I don't know what the hell I was doing until the age of 16. Once I get there, we do our A-levels. I pick, physics. Let me check. I think it was physics, economics, and maths for the A-levels. For those of you that don't know, that's basically the last 2 years before you go to the higher education, such as uni, for those of our non-UK viewers. And once I went to university, take a guess what I studied.
Business.
And accounting.
Yeah, the safest degree you can get.
Exactly.
I can relate to that.
I am so goddamn boring, and I think that's where the YouTube channel came from.
Top 10 boring YouTubers and how they could work in War Thunder.
Exactly. I can whip up a mean spreadsheet if you put me under the demand. But I knew nothing about editing. I still don't know nothing about editing. But YouTube was a way to kind of a creative outlet, I would say. Because I've never been able to... always thought it was kind of cool to be able to draw stuff. But I've never been much of a... how can I put it? I can just about draw a stickman if I'm lucky.
Photoshop covers a great number of sins. Carry on.
That's what really I gotta say. Like, YouTube was the way I think I expressed creativity.
Okay, so very plain, playing it by the numbers, literally. Business degree seeking young lad, graduates from compulsory education, where did you go on from there? You're 24 now. I think, was it
Yep.
you that's been talking about going to university? What are you studying now?
Oh no, I finished university now. That was the business and economics. So
Right,
that was my
right.
my 3 years that I did there.
Okay, obviously.
Yeah.
You
No,
already
well,
talked
I mean,
about
in
that.
America, you have a different way of. I think in America, you go to college, is it?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing.
Because it's got different names, but in the UK, like college is like a lesser thing than university. But over there, I think university and college are interchangeable.
Yeah, basically. They just have pretty much the same function and cost more than they should.
Oh man, uni fees over. I mean, in the UK, it's not too bad. In Europe, it's free. America, oh Jesus Christ, what is going on over there?
Rampant, unchecked inflation. Sort of like what's happening in War Thunder.
Oh boy, like I feel bad for anyone that's like, I want to play the Cold War tanks. Boots up the game. It's like, well, Sonny Jim, first you got to play, your early American tanks. Then you got to get your Sherman. Then you got to advance to your slightly heavier Pershings. And then you got to fight a whole bunch of Tier 5 stuff. I don't even know what's there anymore. Then you can get to your Tier 6 or 7.
And you have to fight all the people that have been suffering through the salt for 6 years or so.
Yep.
Or you could buy your way into top tier and enjoy that.
What is it, like just a cheeky buying of 40 quid and you can jump to Tier 6 or 7 now?
I've paid less for an ass kicking, so I'm not really current on the cost, but yeah, that's money down the drain for a lot of people. I guess some people can learn from it. Anyway, back to you, Haigs. You can't get away so fast. So you went through, you got your business degree, business and accounting. Careful now, don't be too scandalous, ladies. Bring a towel. But that is a very sensible degree to get. I don't know how it is in the UK, but in America, it's pretty much, if you have a degree, it doesn't really matter what it is for 80% of the jobs you would get. And then the rest are just ridiculously competitive. So, you are getting by, spending lots of time on YouTube. What are your plans for the future? At least, what are your dreams?
My dreams is to have, no, I wouldn't say exactly a Netflix show, but I would like to redo kind of the format of my top 5 videos for a much more interesting and higher budget scale. Into maybe an experimental 22-minute or even 35-minute-ish program. Because I do like this European adventure thing. I don't know how long you've been following my YouTube channel. Have you seen the I think it was a video like Iron's European Adventure.
Yeah, I liked that. I really like your traveling videos.
Did you see the one where I went to Krakow?
Yeah, I think I did. What did you like about that one?
The search for the worst plane in the world. Now, it was kind of experimenting. I'd say semi-inspired by, funnily enough, Boris, the Slav guy. His travel videos are rather amusing. They're like vlogs, but not exactly vlogs, because they're not centered around him per se. They still have his personality put into them, but it's more around the stuff he's seeing, and then playing off that. I kind of want to experiment with traveling a bit more, because I'm 24, and while I still can in Europe, essentially, I want to, visit a few more things. Because Europe's a pretty small place relative to America. I can fly to Berlin on a 2-hour-ish flight. Which I think in LA will just get you from the southern bit of that state to, towards the Canadian border.
Yeah, the state of LA. Keep going.
Yeah, the state of LA. Yeah, let me just dig myself into this pit, California. There, you happy, mate?
You're not all that far off, honestly. I'd like to see California carved up in several chunks, with several of them sliding off into the ocean. So you would like to get even more professional and sophisticated about how you make your videos. Your travel videos would be really cool. Maybe even with bringing some more people onto the team. Is that something you considered?
A terrible planner. I would love to bring people on. except I wouldn't know how to even begin delegating work to be effective. I'm not saying that I want to carry the burden, I just don't know how to divide it up.
It sounds like what you need is a partner whose skill is in managing small groups. Wait, that's a girlfriend.
Does this sound like a
Tell me about that. No, I'm saying you need a girlfriend. So have you... Tell me about that.
You know what? I think I got the... Unfortunately, this doesn't work because it's... I don't know, maybe you can put this into your video. I have the perfect image to sum up my life at the moment.
Is it Forever Alone?
Nope, even worse than that. Even worse. I may have lost it. Oh, yep, found it. I hope you do editing on these things. Otherwise, that's just 30 seconds of me finding a picture.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, speaking of that, I actually was single until, around 25, so don't...
it can all turn around any minute now.
Yeah, my idea was, when I'm ready, then I'll look into finding my woman, and you know what? It worked out perfectly for me, so don't worry about it.
Didn't think... I was waiting... you should have left it on a cliffhanger, that story, and completed it later. Never figured it out.
Never found a woman. Just have 2 kids somehow.
Just one day I was walking by the park and it's like, hey, you know what would be great? 2 kids.
You'd be surprised how easy it is to make a family with how little people attend their children in the park. Yeah.
Well, now's your luck. Right then, let's stay
Forever Alone, anime Haigs, lying back and looking up at the sky, sinking into the earth, leaving a legacy of sad travel video.
Oh yeah, I got the first video is either going to be to northern France, to the Normandy area, and no, it's not just going to be World War II related. Going to have World War I in there. Nah, I'm kidding. There's actually going to be some non-war related stuff in there because there's a lot of fascinating stuff in France I'm looking forward to seeing, ranging from some of the forts in World War I to some areas in Belgium, like the Bastogne Museum. I want to visit that. And there's a few things scattered around throughout Belgium that I'm going to put on the list to visit. And I'm hoping to do that in a 3-night trip. I'm just going to grab my professional camera equipment, aka my S8 smartphone.
With your finest Snapchat filters.
Oh, of course. And the only professional bit of equipment I own in my entire home other than this microphone, which is a Rode NT USB. That's probably the only dedicated thing I ever bought to make better videos, is my gimbal. And that basically makes my hands stop acting like a 90-year-old... what's it called when your hands shake?
Alzheimer's.
No, that's the memory one.
No, that's right. It's not Alzheimer's. It's, I forget.
Yeah, my hands are not that spectacular anyway. I always watch those vlogs where people hold up a phone in front of them perfectly at their face and I'm like, wow, that looks really still. I try and do it and look like, I'm standing in Tokyo during an earthquake. So yeah, the gimbal helps to fix that.
You could just say that your vlog videos, there's a mouse tank stalking you, so
that's why it's all just shaking. But yeah, I mean, I did like doing the top 5 videos, and I want to do them again, because I said I want to do it bigger and better. But holy moly, like, the first batch of them that I did were, they were okay, I used online sources. The second half, like the last 4 or 5 videos that are online that have top 5, other than the Natter video, they all, so including the Natter videos, just the title's different for that, I actually put effort and research into those ones. I tried to get books, and by books I mean PDFs of, sources that I could actually use. Instead of just reading, Wikipedia and using history.com as a cited source.
So your dreams for the channel are to do more travel videos, which I highly encourage you. I find travel fascinating. I've been out a little bit, and my favorite thing, honestly, is just to walk around and get a feel for the way people live. But maybe that's just me. People fascinate me.
It's a new area. I must say, in the
And then-
States, in LA, where I visited Glendale and I visited whatever the hell Center LA is called. I know Glendale's just like a suburb area. So a lot of people are friendly there, and I found that weird. We don't do that in the UK.
Well, I was pretty nervous when I was in LA. I went there to go to Disneyland with my new wife, and I don't know. I'm always a little bit nervous in a city environment because I grew up in a pretty small community. But the people do seem to be nice, specifically in LA, and I think that's just sort of the local culture.
Oh,
they're nice to you, and then
she need a burping or something?
Probably a bottle pretty soon. But the thing about LA is they'll be really nice to you, but they're also looking to take your money. And I used to work at a used games and electronics store, and we just never trusted anything from California in general and LA specifically. So many scams, so many broken and fake products. It's just like everybody's trying to scam you. So, my advice, come to the Oregon coast. It's beautiful and full of history, probably. And also, I'll make food for you.
But only thing I know about Oregon is the Oregon Trail. And I never even played that game. I played the zombie spin-off of it, Oregon Trail.
Oh yeah, that's the far better version anyway.
Yeah, I played that on mobile, which is actually a surprisingly good port.
So you remember the zombie that's like crawling and has little bits of brain coming out of its skull?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one...
You would go hunting and you would spend like 13 or 15 bullets shooting stuff. No, like you couldn't carry the zombie meat, I think. It just said you can't eat this.
I don't remember trying to eat a zombie, but I guess everybody plays the game
in the original game, it was like you could hunt for deer, but in this one, I don't think there was a hunting mode. You just had to defend yourself mode.
Yeah, I think you could like walk around and scavenge things, and then you'd have to like leave the map before you got hit by a zombie or you'd get injured or something. It's a fun little game. I remember playing that with my wife. She thought the zombie with the brain coming out was a little girl zombie, and I was like, "What? Why do you think it's a girl?" And she said, "Look, she's got a little pink bow." I'm like, babe, that's brain. So that just goes to show how much your perspective can change the way you go through your life. And you seem like kind of a straightforward guy. You've been awfully quiet.
Have I? No, I was worried. When I stream, I always make sure to like guide the show in a direction, because if I let the people in the background talk, then they might pull the show off course. But I was worried if I continuously talk, I would be steering you away into different waters, because I get distracted super easily. So I was kind of letting you run the show here, because I can get super easily off track.
Initiate British useless babble mode.
Yep.
And just go for it.
Now, give me a new direction. Wind me up like one of those toy cars and just let me loose.
Yeah, let's see. What's a country that's ripe for exploitation? No, wait. Let's go for a different form of British motivation. So what have we already talked about? We talked about your family a little bit. We talked about your young school life, and you attempted to be as boring as possible as a young lad. Let's look at this one. Would you say that you were a bookish boy, or what were you? What type of kid were you when you were a young lad?
Man, I don't even think about myself that much. Making me think here, it hurts my brain. No,
memories, feelings.
Thinking hurt. No, I'm just trying to think now, because I never really was that impressive, I suppose. I just kind of buried memories of myself. No, that sounds really bad. Just imagine that exact guy that was not bad, not good, was in some sports, not good at any sports, existed. Hey, the first cool thing I did in my life was getting my private pilot's license. That's
Tell me
something.
more about that. I meant to ask about that.
Basically, remember when we were talking earlier about War Thunder, I didn't know the difference between a Spitfire or 109 before I played War Thunder. It's basically, that was another thing as well. Like, I think I hadn't even played realistic battles. I was still playing arcade when I, booted up the game. But one summer, I was like, fuck it. Oh, I don't know what the sensor levels on this thing are, but...
fuck it.
Perfect. I said, booger it. Nah, fuck it. Looked up my local airfield, which was Elstree Aerodrome at the time. And I thought, okay, let's work my way down the list of flying schools, because they're all advertising, hey, come on down for a trial lesson. And this list is in alphabetical order. I looked up flying schools in the past, but this day, I decided to go in alphabetical order down the list. I called up the first 2 schools about trial lessons this day. And they were like, nah, we busy. Come back like 2 days from now, 1 day from now. And I said, no thank you, bye. The third one down the list said, I ain't got nothing going on today. Come on up here. I said, oh boy. So I go to the airfield. And I speak to the flying school instructor. And he's like, yeah, we're just going to do a trial lesson. We're going to take you up for 1 hour. And if you like it, you can keep on continuing. If not, that's okay. You had an experience anyway. And the cool thing about when you go for a test flight, every flying school does this 1 hour. There's also half an hour packages. Don't bother with that. They offer you 1 hour of just flying around in a plane. But what they don't tell you is that as soon as you take off, they're like, okay, have the controls now. And you're like, what, me? And they're like, yeah, just take the controls. It's not that difficult.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, and different people have different reactions to it, what I've spoken to my instructor. But most of them are always positive, because that's what they came there to do. I have no affiliation with flying before then. I don't have any relatives that flew. Don't have anyone that ever served, in the Air Force or anything. No one that was private pilot, commercial pilot, none of that. Just, I think War Thunder inspired me to go flying. And from there, I really enjoyed it after that lesson, and I kept on doing it steadily. Building up my hours, did my final exam, and got my private pilot's license within a year.
Wow. So that's awesome. I never thought that it could be that easy to become a pilot, honestly. That's really cool. How much did that cost you? How did you afford that?
I'll tell you what, I won't say exactly how much it cost me, because it was spread out over 1 year for the license, and then beyond that, however many hours I flew. But look up your local airfield, what you think is an airfield near you, and look at the flight schools there. And this is individually for the people listening as well as you. You can see the prices they're offering there, and let's just say you got to save up a little bit before you decide to do it. Because if you do want to get your pilot's license, you got to be ready to try and finish it within a year or 2. You shouldn't stretch it out too long.
So, with your private pilot's license, I've seen some video on your channel of you flying a plane. How accessible is that to you? Can you just reserve a plane and take it out for the day now?
Yes, several flight schools near me that I'm quite friendly with the flight school that I originally flew with, so I can rent his plane, but he does teaching in that. So ideally I don't like to take it for a whole day unless the guy's on holiday, in which case I can take it whenever I want. Different flight schools have different procedures, but mostly they've got online booking, and depending on the rules of the company you can take the plane for a day, and you only pay for when the engine is running anyway. It's not like rent a car where you pay per day. You pay for only how much the engine works. Some companies do have a minimum charge, like, if you're taking the plane for 24 hours, don't just fly for half an hour. That's kind of a dick move.
Yeah. So the trick is to climb to altitude, shut off the engine, and coast in for a landing.
If any private pilot listening to this knows the dreaded words of go around, when the radio tower tells you to go around, you're not thinking, oh, well, it's a nice safe procedure. The guy in front of me, I'm too close to the guy in front, or the guy is taking too long to vacate the runway. You're thinking, I got to pay for another 6 to 8 minutes of flight time. Fuck.
Well, that sounds like the kind of salt you get in Air RB. Only maybe in reverse. You stole my kill, now I've got to fly all the way to where the enemy fighters are and actually dogfight. You've ruined my day.
My day is ruined and my disappointment is immeasurable. I think I mixed it up, but you get the idea.
Yeah, I think that's the translation of the Cyrillic screechings I get when I do stuff like that. But you've been inspired by War Thunder in a lot of ways. So with that, I don't usually ask much about War Thunder itself, but what would you say is... What would you say... Jeez, how would I put this? I guess I don't even know what to ask. This is what editing is for,
I tell you what, how about I pose my own question and then answer my own question?
Perfect!
Okay, here we go. What is Iron Armenian's favourite thing to do in War Thunder? And I left that question on purposely broad because my favourite thing to do in War Thunder is play tiers 1 to 4. And then people are going to ask, wait a minute, you're one of those YouTubers, you got like all the golden eagles and whatnot, and you got all the top tier tanks and planes. I feel like such an old git when I play top tier, because I don't understand what's going on. Everything's moving so fast, and the shell types are all special, and oh no, I don't understand this. But then I go back to my Panzer III at BR 3.7 or something, and I'm like, oh, I get this. Everything's nice, slow and steady. I get the flow of the combat, the shell types, I get what's going on with those. Everything's quite cheap to run anyway. No biggie if I die.
Point, click, delete.
I mean, when I play top tier, it feels like I'm playing arcade again, even though I'm playing realistic.
Everything's moving fast. People are sniping from maximum range, and yeah, I have no idea what's going on when I play top tier. Your preference is very sensible. And with the way the economy in War Thunder works today, that is actually the best way to get silver lions anyway.
Oh, here's Iron Armenian's top tip for getting silver lions.
Ooh, drop it.
Turn off auto repair for the love of God. Now, in War Thunder, you have two things enabled. I think they're definitely enabled. And one of them is like auto repair, one of them is auto rearm. Auto rearm just buys shells that, they cost like 10 silver lions or they cost 50 silver lions. They cost nothing. Leave on auto rearm, but the repair one is really interesting because if a vehicle takes 7 days to repair and costs 700 silver lions, say if you're doing a War Thunder match at, 10 in the evening, you leave it until you come back from work the next day or school or whatever, you play some War Thunder, let's say again at 10 o'clock. You've shaved off 100 eagles off the repair cost of 700. So now it's only down to 600. But it adds up very quickly.
Yeah, I see the European Canadian doing that all the time. I leave it on just because I frankly forget about things all the time. So it's just easier to pay that cost and
it's essentially for the last game you do at the end of the day. Instead of repairing them instantly, you just repair them the next day when you start.
Or if you're going to play a different nation, you just tab over and forget about it. You could play your overpowered mid-tier Italian aircraft well that way.
Oh, I love me the P-08 with the 102 meatball cannon.
I imagine you are one of the chosen few. I like where it's placed. You can aim it fairly well. As well as a 4-engine heavy bomber can aim something mounted in its nose.
I think it's even aimed like slightly downwards just to make the pilot's life a little more easier, so he doesn't have to fly directly at the object. He can fly a little bit above it.
Yeah, I remember that now that you mention it. I played around with it a little bit, but I'm still fond of my PBJ when I want a derp gun.
Oh, I love my peanut butter jelly with its 75mm.
So, have you made a kill compilation or something with that 105?
Both of those vehicles you just mentioned, there's a kill compilation for both of them.
Yeah, I think I remember watching yours because I tried getting some kills with it myself, and I saw that you posted something about it, and I was like, okay, I have to see this. So, for those of you that are watching today, something happened in the history of War Thunder. One of the derpiest of derp planes, well, the biggest cannon that's available on a plane, was wielded with skill by this man here. You should definitely check that out. So with that, do you watch your old videos?
Yes, from time to time. Not the ones where I talk, though. Because I absolutely hate the sound of my own voice. Hate it. Absolutely hate it. It is torture for me to sit down to read out a 4,000 word script for my videos. And then torture for me to further edit those, how can I put it? It's meant to be a 20-minute long video, but the recording's like 2 hours long. For the amount of lines that I've redone or redone with different emphasis on certain words. Yeah, I don't really like the sound of my own voice, but if it's got music in it, I like watching my own videos.
Okay, that's something that I'm always curious to ask other YouTubers, because I kind of surprised myself with how much I enjoy my old videos. I didn't think I was a sentimental guy, but I guess I am. And then other people are like, no, I never watched that stuff. I never want to see that again.
I have friends that do enjoy their own voice, but I have also other friends that also, I've heard psychologically there's a thing to hate your own voice. But I feel like death by 1,000 paper cuts for the bazillions of comments I get on my enunciation of the word free. Now the question is, did I just say 1, 2, 3, or did I say 3 golden eagles for War Thunder?
Ah, 3 golden eagles for War Thunder, man, that takes me back. I gotta interview Baron one of these days, if I can.
What's Baron up to?
Of him. Yeah, I checked his YouTube channel, and he's been doing just like a bunch of indie games and things. I mean, he seems to be pretty active, and he's got lots of subscribers, but
I still follow NTAC, I think, if that's how you say it.
Yeah, I think that's how he says it, so close enough. He used to cover Besiege back in the day. Have you ever played that game?
Yeah, I did. I played the original campaign when it was kind of the big hit indie game at its time when it came out. There's like a small campaign with like 15 or 20 levels, I think.
Yeah, there's even more now. It's really grown a lot, and it's all, free content, so you might want to check that out again sometime when you have some free time. But it doesn't really have anything to do with our conversation today, but I'm curious. Tell me about some of your Besiege creations. How did you start out, and then what are some of the weird and wacky things that you ended up building over the course of your career?
I only went through the campaign, really. The sandbox mode, I did play around with it a little bit, but I never went, pure and wacky. And seeing people's videos online at the time and effort they put into some of their creations, it's amazing. But it's like when you see in Minecraft, the first video that made me want to get Minecraft was like someone built the Starship Enterprise in Minecraft creative mode. And you see people build like palaces, and I don't even know anything about Star Trek other than the Star Trek, except the name of that ship, by the way. I know nothing, but I was like, wow, that's a really impressive model. You see people build like massive empires in Minecraft, and I'm like, I built a dirt house, and there's a castle next to it now.
I can't get these holes to line up.
Yeah. I built a little drawbridge. Look, I put the block down when I want to walk across, then I pick up the dirt block when I cross.
Job's done. So, on that same note, what are some other games that you've played outside of War Thunder?
I play almost 20 minutes of Overwatch every single day since it's launched. I play like 1 or 2 quick play matches per day. And I find it interesting. Do you follow Overwatch? Because a lot of people are like, dead game, oh my god, dead game. And I'm like, well, I don't play the competitive because that would just make me toxic. I just boot up, I do quick play, and then sometimes I do randomly chosen heroes because I'm fed up of my team members constantly picking Widow, Genji, Handsoap, over and fucking over. There's more than 3 characters in the bloody game. Pick one that isn't Window Marker, Handsoap, and heal needing person.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I followed Overwatch, but it's sort of, one of those things that I think a lot of people are somewhat familiar with. It looks a lot like, honestly, the Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare games, which are like a...
You're not going to believe me when I say this. When I say that I have probably maybe at least 200 hours minimum It's not the Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, but the Plants vs. Zombies Heroes mobile app.
Oh, yeah, do tell.
It's a really great card game. Like, none of the card games ever stuck with me. Magic the Gathering, meh. The Blizzard one, what was the Blizzard card game again? Hearthstone. Hearthstone, that's it. That didn't stick with me either. But for some reason, a cheesy spin-off game that you think wouldn't be that good ends up being one of the best card games that I've ever played.
You've put down roots?
I just...
See what I did
there? I have you know that I'm actually a zombie main anyway.
Ah, I see.
I always play where I think it's like a Mexican wrestler like Zombie. He's my main guy. Because in that game you can pick like heroes, in quotation marks, and they kind of got special abilities also. But every character, the zombies have their deck, and the plants have their decks, to choose from.
Interesting. And by that I mean...
Yeah, let me just sidetrack this wolf on the conversation into... See, this is the thing though, like, I don't really play mobile games, except this one I have a Galaxy S8. I feel like I'm utilizing 2% of its potential.
Well, you're right up there with PewDiePie then. His video quality is pretty poor for a big time YouTuber, and he has like a fantastic camera. But I digress. This is about you. And with that, I just thought, have you always been... You mentioned that you played this one mobile game, and you won't believe which one's number 7. But have you always been a PC gamer, or did you play on console?
My first console that I ever had was the Game Boy Advance SP. That was my first console.
Oh, yeah.
Like, a lot of people seem to have in the UK, it's like, I had an N64 and then a PS2, and then... Nope, just me, it was just straight to Game Boy.
The Advance SP was a fine console. Carry on.
It was an amazing one to jump in. I had 2 games for that. The first one was Mega Man Battle Network 3, the third one.
Oh, yeah.
An amazing
I played that as
game.
well.
Oh, fuck, another person that's played it. I'm not going to say it's actually one of those rare, edgy games that not many people have played. Edge is the wrong word. Hipster games. It was a popular series. It's just not many people seem to have played the third one. So not the third. Anything in the Battle Network series.
It's like a card game.
Yeah,
it had a deck and a resource management game. It had so many things going for it.
Hear me out. Undertale. It's the combat from Undertale. I just realised it now because you chose your cards, which were your abilities when you attacked, other than your basic attack. And then you basically play the game for like 10 seconds, and you pick another set of cards. Have you played Undertale?
Yeah, that was... I played a little bit of it, and then I made terrible decisions that ended up scarring my psyche, and I just settled for watching people play it.
I'm guessing exactly which bit it was. I'm guessing it sort of involves Goat Mom, I'm guessing.
I killed Goat Mom!
I did not kill my first... He designed that game so you kill her! Fucking Toby. Eat a dick, Toby. But he did that on purpose. Because I made that same... She wasn't even trying to kill you. And she wasn't even trying to kill me as well. And somehow I ended up killing her. I was really confused. Like, wow, I'm still hitting her bullets somehow anyway. Even though they're on purpose and she's missing.
I thought, like, maybe... What I thought is, okay, obviously this is a scripted fight. And the first rule of scripted fights is, if you can win, go ahead and win. And then I won, and then she died. And I was a horrible person.
Get back in there, mate. It's a great game.
My wife comes home and she's like, "Hey, are we gonna play Undertale tonight?" And I was like, I don't want to play that game today." And then like a week later, she's like, "But why are we not playing Undertale anymore?" And I was like, I made a horrible mistake and I don't want to play anymore.
I just uninstalled it to save space on the computer. It's like, it's 100 megs. It's like, really? It's like, no need to install it again.
We're like post-war Germany, and I'm just looking back and going, nothing happened!
Nothing happened between 1939 and 1941. Nothing!
We were all on vacation!
Punch was served. That was a Family Guy reference. But what I was going to say about Undertale is that it's okay to do the neutral run halfway through. Basically, you kill a few people, but you do the best you can. To do the genocide route is overkill. It involves way too much dedication. But the game encourages you to do the neutral run the first time. You reboot the game when you finish it, and then you just do the goody two-shoes run next. Because when you do the goody two-shoe runs the second time, an area inaccessible in your first run becomes available. Which, adds an extra slight layer of story.
I see. Yeah, that is one of the things that really makes Undertale stand out from a game design perspective. Is it reaches out and involves you, the player, in the story in a way that really doesn't need to be that rare, but somehow it is. So maybe along those lines, War Thunder is definitely not that kind of game. But if you could write a War Thunder story mission, where would you set it? And what would that be like? A War Thunder story campaign.
I've always had an idea for, I don't know, a short film of sorts, or a short little game where, I don't know, the last Volksjäger? Yeah, the last Volksjäger, where it's a campaign set in 1944 Germany, near the October, November, December part of the year. And essentially you're playing as a fighter pilot, putting up with the horrendous condition of the planes, with almost very few actual pilots left. All of you are trained on hand gliders, let alone actual gliders. And you're supposed to go and protect Germany from heavy 4-engine bombers and escort fighters.
That is a very compelling campaign idea. I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to start with everything, all the modules and everything in perfect condition, and then mission after mission, your plane is only partially repaired, with inadequate parts, and then sometimes you'll take off and the engine just dies, and they're like, "You better land that thing," and you're landing like, yes, I have, and that's a great example of the idea. Like sometimes you just start out and you are screwed from the start, and it's actually a little bit exciting as a change of pace. And I think that's something that really doesn't belong in War Thunder, but to have something made that way as a little appetizer.
I always enjoy damage control in War Thunder. Like when you're flying your 2-engine plane and engine 1 is completely broken, engine 2, like the coolant is leaking out, and you've only got an X amount of time before it's running on no coolant. The ailerons in one of the wings are shot. The rear gunner's dead. And you're really trying to think to yourself, right, the left gear leg is stuck, that's not going to work. Still got, the right gear leg, that we can probably try and land this thing still. And oh, look, the flaps are buggered up as well. I enjoyed trying to get that thing home. And then you just get, crash landing, even though you did it pretty okay.
Well, every now and then, that's, it's like that. It becomes so personal when you decide, my pilot is going to live. They're going to survive this mission
deep inside.
Yeah, and it refuses to crash land. And yeah, that lonely experience where you were in this battle with multiple people, you take this heavy damage, and you're limping back to the airfield, and suddenly the next 10 minutes is just you focusing on trying to survive. You've left the battle area, and there's no one that's decided to pursue you, because life is pretty short if they do that. But those rare experiences, those are something that really, they only seem to happen in Air RB or sim matches.
Yeah.
And it's really something you don't experience when you're just grinding through, when you're playing to optimize the game. And I think that's one of those things that gets you into the story of War Thunder. That's a good point you made there.
This sounds rather interesting. I'm imagining the Gaijin official War Thunder campaign. You can pick different nations to play as, and you can play out the... Have you played the single player in War Thunder? There's one mission, it's fairly early for England, it's easy to unlock. It's called Eagle Day.
Tell me about it.
Now, in that one, I think you're a bunch of hurricanes taking off as the airfield's being strafed by BF-110s.
Oh, I think I saw somebody play that. Tell me more about it.
Once the hurricanes take off and you take out all the 110s that are flying around, it said there's an incoming wave of Heinkel 111s, and there's a huge swarm of them. You cannot do this by yourself in single player. You have to have a 4-man squad to be able to complete this mission. Because there's too many Heinkel 111s, and you're only in a hurricane. You got, sewing machine guns. They don't do anything.
Unbalanced missions against AI in War Thunder? Surely you jest.
But it is one of my favorite missions in the game. Like, I think that is my favorite single-player mission. Because I played that mission several times with friends, because it's got a pretty good setup. You have to shoot down enough of the Heinkel 111s for them to decide, well, fuck it, we're going home now. And I think it is based on, the Battle of Britain. Eagle Day rings a bell. I think it was in the Battle of Britain film. I'm sure it's a term to actual something in real life. I'm sure someone in the comments can fix me on this. But it's a really good single-player mission.
So, you like those missions? Again, this is one of those things where you're taking off from a runway as it's being bombed. Waves of enemies are coming in. The scale is huge. And honestly, I think that's something that War Thunder has lost over the years. And it just comes down to the fact that it's become more and more a PvP competitive focused game. I think that the soul of War Thunder could be won back by bringing it into that personal experience. But again, that's probably something for the future.
But anyway, that's just a theory. I'm not going to say it.
A war theory. It sounds like you have a lot of the same interests as me.
I wonder if I always wondered about this. Battlefield 5 could make some intense multiplayer modes if they kind of just experimented around a bit more. But I feel like, all they're going to do is when they finish a Battlefield 5, it's going to be that meme where it's like, I don't want to play with you anymore when they move on to the next Battlefield game.
Yeah, it seems that the games that make lots and lots of money do it by being extremely uncreative. But with things like, if you've seen anything on Project Wingman, that's a game made by one guy, and it's gorgeous, and it's clever with the way that it engages the player. And I think that, honestly, if you're going to make a great single-player experience, or something that really shifts up the way things work, you gotta do it yourself. And then the big guys will copy you and put some more production value into it before they milk it for all it's worth in the sequel.
I'm definitely thinking no one really managed to make a successful Minecraft 2 Electric Boogaloo.
As much as they tried, that's one game that really the original... And I've played a lot of...
There's a lot
you could call them Minecraft spin-offs. So a lot of the 2D ones are a lot of fun to play, like Terraria and Starbound. But
Starbound. Even Lego officially has like a Minecraft-inspired kind of open-world building thing.
Yeah, they just never took off. I guess sometimes being first really counts for everything. Hear that comment section? have you said the word yet? But anyway, Iron, it's been a lot of fun talking with you. My girls have been really easy to handle right now.
I must love the sound of my own voice. I mean, you've got a headset on, I'm guessing, but maybe my voice is soothing them to sleep.
Your voice is both unique and comforting.
It's London, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's that deep tone that I always wanted when I was a young man. Everybody confused me for a woman over the phone, but I've broadened out a little bit as I fattened up.
Yeah, you've just got your audio input cables. What's it called? A soundboard and digital audio cables set up.
Yeah, do a low pass filter and make everybody think I'm a real adult.
What's up, guys? It's your boy here with another podcast. Today we're going to be putting on Fly Daily. No, I don't have a cold. I just sound like this now. I'm Batman.
I'm just this ripped. Come at me, Scrub Lord. I'm huge.
Alright then, I'll let you do your thing.
Alright, this has been the Iron Armenian chatterbox that he spent.
I would have spoken a lot more. I just don't want to steal your show.
My show. It's all about you today, bud. One day I'll get more of your secrets out of you. I think we ended up talking more about War Thunder, but I think that reveals something about you as well. You're a gamer, and you're definitely passionate and involved in the things that you've been showing us on your channel. And with that, obviously, check out his channel. You really don't have any reason to be here unless you already have, but go there if you have any crazy kids. A lot of his top 5 lists where he shows weird and wonderful vehicles that actually existed, very entertaining and interesting. Oh, and with that, I definitely remember your German aircraft and vehicles ones. Have you done? I think you did some Soviet ones.
Oh yes, I did a Soviet flying list. Mm-hmm.
Did you do a top 5 weird American aircraft that actually flew?
No, but that could be a very good launchpad one, because I'm finding... I made the next German list around 2 months ago, and I looked at what I need to start reading. I was like, oh man, I can't get my head around this now. But the American list, that one's going to write itself. Right then, we can put the Goblin in there, although that's a pretty mainstream one now. We can put in one of the Flapjacks. I didn't realize until recently there's 2 Flapjacks. They're different designs, but I didn't realize that.
I would love to see a video like that, and honestly, I'd like to see the Flapjack and the Goblin in War Thunder. There's definitely weirder things, and the stats will be actually real.
Yeah, and the Flapjacks,
but anyway,
they did mount 20 mils on them, but yeah.
Iron, it's been a lot of fun talking with you. Thanks for giving me the time today.
Thank you very much.
And for all of you guys back home, catch you guys in the next video. Bye.